screencast with you guys so we could watch, look at some of the new, the fan films that have been coming out lately. Because I thought that would be very appropriate for what we're talking about today, but I guess it's not going to happen. So the big question that I want to talk about today is, are fan films kind of the future of Star Wars right now? I think the biggest thing that we always, like, the best compliment a fan film can get these days is basically, you've all seen it, this should be canon, or this is now canon in my eyes. Of course, the most recent thing was the Scene 38 Reimagined. That's just blown up. Of course, there's Shards of the Past. There's the Darth Maul fan film. There's Monster, Birth of a Monster, which is the story about the Rancor. And it's, we have all these fan films coming out that, for the most part, are pretty darn good quality. Shards of the Past might be an exception to that because it sucks. So what do you, first off, what did you guys think of Scene 38? That's the newest addition to the fan film family. Did it live up to your expectations? What do you guys think? So while you guys are typing that, let's get to some comments here. So we got fan films have the high ground, says Red Hood. Hey man, what's up? Troops will always have the high ground. And then Let's Talk Star Wars says, hey, I was in that film. Let's see here. You were in, Mike, you were in Troops. See, to me, guys, if you haven't seen Troops, you got to go see Troops. Troops is like the quintessential fan film. It's awesome. All right. I Am Dinosaur says RAR. Let's Talk Star Wars says that Scene 38 had too much CGI. I kind of agree. There was a lot of CGI in that film. Let's see here. Lights Icaric said that he wasn't alive when Troops came out. Probably not. Oh, Let's Talk Star Wars says, no, I was in your film, the one that sucked. Yes, Mike was in Shards of the Past. So Tyler the Imagineer says, I'm writing a script for a Marvel fan film. That's definitely one we don't get many Marvel fan films. Bat in the Sun, of course, has done a few of their Versus series with Spider-Man, I think, against the Joker, if I recall. But there aren't near as many Marvel fan films as there are Star Wars, which it's so weird to me how Marvel just blows up at the box office, yet like people talking about Marvel videos and stuff, they don't do, like on YouTube and stuff, there's not the audience for it for some reason. It's kind of weird. So fan films, clearly, this is a good comparison. Fan films and fan stuff related to Marvel clearly do not have the high ground right now. They are not, there's not a demand for it. There's, even that people are doing it, even though Marvel is just clearing the box office like it's nobody's business. Like, basically the Lakers against any team in the early 2000s. But I'm a Lakers fan. Even now, it pains me to say. But then you got Star Wars. Then fan films and fan stuff and YouTube videos about Star Wars are just clearing up, while the demands for the official Star Wars stuff isn't. It's there, of course, but it's not like I don't know if I anticipate Episode 9, for instance, to beat Infinity War at the box office. Of course, it totally can. I don't know if I'd be surprised, but I don't necessarily expect it to. All right, so let's see here. Let's get through some comments. That Taco asked, who did Mike play in Shards of the Past? He was a clone trooper, but he was a stormtrooper. He actually has a TK costume. And so he's in the deep background of the mausoleum scene, the first scene in the mausoleum. And he's also in the opening fight. We see his arm in the foreground. And that's a good thing that you can do as filmmakers, because obviously I couldn't show a stormtrooper fighting among clone troopers. But in order to add depth, I use the Z-axis. The Z-axis is your depth axis. So X, Y, or X, Y, and then Z. And we placed Mike right in front of the camera. So we only basically saw his arm. So if you look at it closely, you can tell it's a stormtrooper arm. But you know, we knew nobody was going to be looking at it, slightly out of focus, but it gives the impression that more clones are there than we actually had because we only had 4 clones. Okay. So Joshua Long says, I liked how they made Vader be on fire, but still able to pull his fights. It really shows how strong his suit is, and I liked it. Yeah, I liked how it got lit on fire as well. I wish we would have seen some damage to the suits. I think that would have been pretty cool. But I guess, you know, limitations, and plus they probably wanted to match the later part of the scene after, you know, Luke says no and starts shooting. I think probably my favorite part in it was the headbutt and the punch. But let's see here. DC has amazing fan films, says Red Hood 23. Yeah, DC's got a lot of fan films. I remember back in the day, excuse me, one of the first ones that came out was called World's Finest, and it was pretty great. I'm currently working on 2 Office fan films. Sweet. Janabot says, I really liked Scene 38. I'm looking forward to other projects by Fix It in Post. What's the best way to raise money for a fan film? Oh, man, that's a good question. I think by definition, a fan film is, unless you have somebody backing it, like, for instance, Star Wars Theory backed Stars of the Past, and he paid for it. I know most fan films aren't going to have that. So it's just family and friends mostly, because fan films, by definition, you really can't make money off of them. And so it's not like you're looking for investors. So it's kind of a different, it's just for love of it, basically. So, hey, JK Ultra, what's up? Aside from the funky CGI, the choreography was amazing for Scene 38. Yeah, you know, one of the things about the choreography that I did enjoy is how fast it was. I overall didn't love how it was kind of a one-sided fight, that Vader was just wailing on Obi-Wan. I feel that's inaccurate to the entire story. But the choreography was pretty awesome. Next Friday, I'm having a carnival at my school, and my club, Star Wars Club, is going to donate all of its profits to episode 2. That's awesome. Michael Serio, what's up? Absolutely the future. Okay, so what do you guys, so let's not get sidetracked here. With fan films, with Star Wars fan films, would it be good? Like, let's say, so the Star Wars universe has a million different things that it can do, stories that can be told. I'm thinking that it would be in Lucasfilm's best interest, just to fill out the universe, is if maybe they held they have their fan film competition, but what if the prize was that, like, they have a separate category that the prize is that fan film becomes canon? Wouldn't that be, I think it'd be pretty cool. It's like, for instance, you got, Scene 38 probably couldn't fit in this paradigm because it's completely just reworking the movie itself. But Shards of the Past, Birth of a Monster, which is the Rancor one, Troops, that's probably more of a stretch. But the Maul fan film, those could, in theory, be canon. And really, the Vader one that's probably the bigger story, but the Maul fan film or other ones could be considered canon. And it would be cool of Lucasfilm to kind of do that, because it would allow the fans to contribute officially to the canon. And could you imagine if that were the top prize of how many more fan films would come out, and how many more people would start taking fan films a little bit more seriously? One of the problems I have with fan films, I've always had it with fan films, especially Star Wars fan films, is that there's no story. That it's just 2 Jedi meet, they fight to the death, and that's it. And quite frankly, it annoys me. I don't really like it because there's no story. But if there were the potential to have your fan film be canon, then I think people would be wanting to develop the stories and the characters a bit more. And I think it could really raise the level of it all. And it could, and then even Lucasfilm could say, all right, well, we will monetize your fan film, and maybe we'll kick back 10% of the profits to you, or 50%, or whatever it might be. All right, let me get through some things here. Let's see, some comments. That would be awesome. That would be epic. So I assume you're talking about the idea to to have this competition to make fan films canon. That Gold Taco says, Stars of the Past already won the competition because it is canon. Of course. You guys want to see my shirt? It says Vader is coming. Look busy. I don't know if I'm mirrored in the stream. I might be, but okay. Scene 38 is just amazing. Gave me chills the whole time. Wolfbane41, filling out the universe. Haha, that will never happen. They're sucking too much on that after episode 3, before episode 4. I don't know. The Star Wars universe is so huge that Lucasfilm's never, ever going to be able to fill it all out. Like, for instance, do we really think that the Lucasfilm is going to make a story about how the Rancor came to be at Jabba's palace? No, of course not. You could go out and make a Darth Maul fan film that takes place between episodes 3 and 4, and it can easily be canon because there's like a solid almost 18 years there that you can fill out. I mean, there's just so much you could do. I mean, you could do a Luke fan film between episodes 4 and 5, 5 and 6, and make it pretty good. But another thing that I think an idea of the potential to make a fan film canon could do is that it would really make people think when they're making it, does this fit into canon? That was something we really tried to do on Shards of the Past, was to make sure that it was something that could fit in canon. Let's see here. So Janabot says that would be awesome, but a lot of fan films just have things in it that can't be canon. And that's totally true. I mean, Troops, awesome fan film, but probably can't be canon. Of course, a fan film of Buzz Lightyear and Darth Vader, which there is a fan film of that fighting, that cannot be canon. So it would be a subset of fan films. Like, it would be like a part of the Star Wars Fan Film Awards. It would be like a section of the competition, I think. Let's see here. Have you guys, so Peaceful is willing to ask, have you guys thought about working with the team behind Scene 38 for the next Vader episodes? No, I mean, we don't even know who the team is. So let's see here. Upright Media said, I just rewatched the Maul fan film last night. It's been a while since I've seen it. All right. I think it's risky. And right now, Lucasfilm, and in kind of a thin position since The Last Jedi, I could see them doing something like this in the future. Who knows? I mean, if you get obscure enough stories that Lucasfilm's never going to do, it works. I mean, the problem, like, for instance, with Vader, is that it's not an obscure story, especially with Mace Windu and stuff like that, that this Arch series could probably never be made canon, even though it fits. I mean, we tried very hard to make it fit. But it's a big story. It's a big enough story that Lucasfilm would probably say, actually, and they have said this because we asked them. They're like, no, if we were to do it, we would do it ourselves. Because we did ask them if they wanted to be involved, and they're like, after episode 1, they're like, look, it was really great, but if we were going to do it, we would basically take over completely because of how big a story it is. So, unfortunately. All right. But yeah, you'd have to find obscure stories if you wanted to make them canon as fan films. Why I'm just rambling here, what are some other fan films that you guys have seen that are really just solid? Maybe some of the less known ones. Of course, we have Vader, we have Darth Maul. Those are the two biggest ones right now. Scene 38 is rapidly gaining ground. We have, let's see here. I have a bunch right here. One of my favorite was Duality. It was an old school one. It's like it's like the first really cool lightsaber fight fan film. Duality, if you haven't seen it, totally check it out. But all right. Rebel Scum. Okay. That's one. Odyssey and Bucketheads. Yeah, so Odyssey and Bucketheads are both about rebels and troopers. All the Lego stop motion ones. Shards of the Past is the only fan film I've seen. All right, that Gold Taco. Old Republic Rescue Mission. I haven't seen that one, Red H 103. What about a Luke fan film between episodes 6 and 7? Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. That is, between episode 6 and 7 is the time period that is just ripe for fan films, and I'm surprised nobody has tackled that yet. No, you're giving me an idea. Because we all wanted to see full power Jedi Luke. And, well, we haven't seen it yet. I mean, the force projection across the galaxy is pretty cool, but we still haven't seen Luke take down a Star Destroyer or something, with the force or whatever it might be. That's a right place for fan films right now. Yeah, I'm really surprised nobody's tackled that yet. Probably nobody's tackled that yet is because we still don't know who the freak Snoke is. And if you want to do that period, you might want to involve Snoke or Ben's turn to the dark side or whatever it might be. But if you guys have ideas for a fan film between episode 6 and 7, type it here. I'm very interested to know if any of you guys have ideas. Okay, Droid Dreska, Star Wars Dreska says Janobot. Star Wars Dreska. That sounds really familiar. I think I've seen that one. I'm going to type it in right now and look. I don't know if I've seen that one. Damsel in Damnation. Oh, I have seen this one. Yeah, that one's kind of a cool one. That one has some good ones. Bad Pilots, and there's a fan film about stormtroopers struggle in the service and has tours all over the original trilogy. There's the one where they're like the troops are landing right before the Battle of Jakku, and it's just like 5 troopers standing in their landing vehicle and they're talking. And that to me is one of the better fan films. There's no fighting because it stops right before the fighting stops. I just wish we would kind of get away from this idea that fan films have to be wall-to-wall fighting. Now, it's not to say episode 2 isn't wall-to-wall fighting, but trying to do the story still. Because doing a story, I feel, is better than doing a more difficult than doing a fight. Okay. Let's see here. Do you know George Lucas has seen Shards of the Past? I don't think he has. If he has, I have no idea. Multiple people at Lucasfilm have seen it. Ron Howard has seen it, and he really liked it. He really enjoyed it. I actually went in and met with some of his producers because of it. And so that was pretty awesome that Ron Howard saw it and liked it enough to invite me in. But Shards of the Past was heavily influenced by Solo, look-wise. The monochromatic colors of the scenes, like the opening scene being very red, the third scene being very blue, very influenced by like the Corellia and the White Worms being all blue, and some of the scenes with Lando and Han being very yellow, kind of that monochromatic look that Bradford Young and Howard developed. Let's see here. All right, man, I'm getting behind on my comments here. I gotta move my Han Solo dice so I can see some of my comments. So, geez, my goodness, I'm way behind now. How many Vader episodes will there be? There'll most likely be 3, assuming we make them all. I would love to see the Jedi and the Sith fight the Bong. Yeah, that'd be cool. That's a fan film right there. Have you seen the fan art of Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan? And what are your thoughts of actually seeing Keanu Reeves playing as Darth Revan? Keanu Reeves, to me, Keanu Reeves is perfect for some roles and not so perfect for other roles. I don't know how I'd feel about him playing Revan, to be totally honest. I am interested if they make another Matrix movie like they're rumoring now, which I hope the Wachowskis passed off the reins to somebody else. I wasn't a huge fan of Matrix 2 or 3, to be honest. All right, so Joshua Lawn says, Lost Tale of the Republic was a good fan film, but I wish they used the same troopers instead of the 104th 327 in it. They also got the same armor. Man, you are a purist when it comes to fan films. All right, that Gold Taco. All right, guys, we got an idea for a fan film between episodes 6 and 7. I got a feeling it's going to be a joke, but let's see. Luke is having an average day sipping some blue milk, but then he feels a call from the Force, but then he has to go to a remote planet in the outer rim, and then he finds green milk. I'd love to see Thrawn live action. Could be set between 6 and 7. In Legends, he was the biggest threat to the good guys in that period. Regarding Thrawn, I totally 100% think that Thrawn is going to be in The Mandalorian, along with Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka. I think they are all going to be in The Mandalorian. I do not think they're going to be in episode 9 because they, quite simply, are not part of the Star Wars saga. But they are part of the Star Wars television saga, and I think it would make a lot of sense to bring them back in The Mandalorian. But we'll see. Ian Chennett and Locher Films are working on a 3D animation fan film focused on Luke after Return of the Jedi. I was involved in it, and it's awesome. The teaser is coming out relatively soon. Oh, I didn't know that. Cool, Bradley. That sounds cool. Let's see here. Move my screen. Birth of a Monster is pretty good. Came out this February. Have you seen it, Danny? Asked Vandecoop. I have seen it, and I've actually met with the producer, Alec Iskander. A very nice guy. We had lunch probably about a month ago. Yeah, and so Vandecoop. That's one of the ones I'm talking about. That I feel like. So, Birth of a Monster is extremely simple. It's about. It's kind of a spoiler, but it's about kind of the birth of the Rancor and how it comes to be at Jabba's palace. And who his caretaker is, the chubby dude who's crying after the Rancor dies. I actually watched that scene with Luke last night. He's obsessed with Leia and playing Bosch the bounty hunter. But that's the type of fan film I feel that like could potentially be canon. Super simple, something Lucasfilm's never going to make unless they were to make it like as a comic or something, or as a spin-off episode of a TV series or something like that. But chances are they're not going to make it because there's just really not a huge demand for a story like that. So why not leave it to the fans? I think, involving the fans in helping determine what the Star Wars canon is, and of course Lucasfilm would have final say over what to admit and what not to, but I think that could be huge for this type of series. I mean, Lucasfilm is in a difficult position where yes, they own the rights, but at the same time, Star Wars is like a cultural phenomenon where everybody knows about it, and it would be cool to involve more people in it. And if they could find a way to monetize fan films, then that'd be cool. It would be kind of cool if they could allow ads to be put on fan films, and they put the ads on, and then they kick back a part of the profits to the creators of it. I don't know. That's probably wishful thinking, though, because they have no obligation to do that. All right. Let's see here. Fixing It in Post is joining us. Congratulations on the success of Stars of the Past. But thanks for spreading the word about Scene 38 and supporting Fix It in Post. Good job, guys. Good job. What's next? Episode 5 Reimagined? Cool, man. All right, I'd be down to see a fan film that takes place between the rise of the Jedi and the Sith. See, now that is a place ripe for exploration. However, that's definitely a place where I think Lucasfilm would make a film series out of something like that. A part of me wants Danny to work with Lucasfilm, but if he does, he won't be making any more awesome films. Oh, gotta have more faith in me and Lucasfilm. That's the ultimate goal, man. I want to make an actual Star Wars movie. Deckle Taco says, "Oh, did I skip some of your idea?" So Luke lands on a planet. It's pretty dark. Then he encounters someone, but he thinks they are a friend. But the friend betrays him and tries to kill Luke. And then there is a huge fight, and Luke escapes and grabs some holocron and escapes back to the planet and learns about the Force. The end. All right. It's part of Luke's Jedi training. Okay. I want to see a Knights of Ren movie, says Luke Skywalker the Legend. Star Wars Theory said that Peter Mayhew saw the fan film and liked it. Or was it you who said that? I didn't know that. So if Peter Mayhew saw it, I did not know that. That's awesome. What do you think about the episode 9? A lot of speculation that George helped write most of the script, so that's exciting. I don't know. I mean, there's so much. I actually talked with I almost said his name, Star Wars Theory last night, and he was telling me about his video today and stuff like that. And we were talking about all these rumors because he gets a lot of emails, about rumors and stuff like that. And the vast majority of them are not true. Either they're people who have bad information or just trying to, mess him up. But I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool if George helped write the script. And, George had a treatment for the next trilogy. So maybe they've gone back to that and looked at it a little bit more in depth and took some of the ideas. I don't know. I do know George thought that the Emperor was dead. At least that's what he told Ian McDiarmid at the time. But who knows? One of the problems I've kind of had with the new trilogy is that it's felt very disjointed from the original 6 movies in story, that it felt like it wasn't a continuation of the story. It was kind of a new story altogether. While the first 6 movies really felt like a continuous story. And so bringing the Emperor back makes sense. I am not of the opinion that it was always in the plan, because if it were, I think they would have left a little more breadcrumbs. They would have talked about an unseen menace, a phantom menace, or something like that to insinuate that the Emperor was pulling the strings from behind. So I think it's kind of a thing like, let's give something to the fans what they want, and let's bring the Emperor back. So, all right. I'm really hoping to see somebody make a Death Trooper fan film that has good sets and production value and is just pure horror. And then Let's Talk Star Wars says those Death Troopers suits are not cheap. The fans who make it would need a good income. Those are the Death Troopers. No, those are the Death Troopers are the black ones, right? In Rogue One. Am I remembering right? Okay. Wolfbane41 says Lucasfilm contacts you and wants you to make a Star Wars movie and get the budget behind you. What kind of Star Wars movie would you make? Trilogy or single movie? Well, I'm all about the trilogy. I don't know. There's so many good stories out there. Whether it's about, between an episode 6 and 7 type of thing, or Knights of the Old Republic, the Dawn of the Sith and the Jedi, Revan, Malak, Bane. I mean, there's so many great things out there. The Mandalorian Wars, the Sith over the 1,000 generations plotting to destroy the Jedi, Plagueis. I mean, there's so much, and anything would be awesome, or coming up with a whole new story altogether, which you could also do. I mean, I think a story in the unknown regions with the Chisk and the Grisk would be really sweet as well. I want to know, outside of even the Star Wars galaxy, who else has discovered the Force? What do they do with the Force? Have they discovered powers of the Force that the Jedi have not discovered? And when they come in contact with the Jedi of the Old Republic, what happens? So there's a ton of sweet stories out there that I think could be come up with. I am definitely not of the opinion that the Force should remain a complete and utter total mystery. I mean, there are people, rightfully so, and very good friends of mine who think, I don't want to know anything more about the Force. I want it to remain a mystery, and that's cool. But I want to know more about the Force. I want to see more Force powers. I want to see, how did the Jedi and Sith come to be? I want to see who and why was the first lightsaber invented. I think there's a lot of great stories out there, and one of the things that I don't necessarily love are these new series that are coming out that ignore the Force, like Star Wars Resistance, and hopefully not The Mandalorian. Totally is void of the Force, because to me, Star Wars the Force is what makes Star Wars. It's what separates it from Star Trek. If I want to see a space opera with no Force, I'm going to watch Star Trek. Okay, that's my rant for the day. All right. So Vanacoop says, sorry, I'm late. Coming to the stream, was busy, but so Lucasfilm is actually willing to make certain fan films canon? What? No, not at all. So my idea is that it would be, fan films are clearly huge right now when it comes to Star Wars. You got Marvel, who is just tearing it up at the box office, but there really aren't many Marvel fan films. They don't do very well when they are made. People who talk about Marvel on YouTube, like myself and Star Wars Theory, those videos don't really do that great, because Marvel is giving the fans what they want. They are satisfying their need for content, and so they don't really look for it other places. Star Wars, on the other hand, the fans are really starved for really great content that they really want to keep, ingesting. And so fan films for Star Wars are just absolutely exploding right now, almost regardless of, I shouldn't say that, not regardless of quality, but they're exploding. And so Star Wars is such a massive universe that it would be really cool if in the Star Wars Fan Film Awards, that there was a category for fan films that were story and plot, character driven rather than just being a fight. If they were given the opportunity to become, like, the winner became a canon, part of canon. Excuse me. I think it'd be awesome. I think it would really foment more creativity in Star Wars storytelling. It would really get the fans more involved and really feel like, okay, we're really being cared about. And I think I think personally, it's a no-brainer for Lucasfilm, because they're never going to be able to tell every single story in the Star Wars universe. So I think it'd be a kind of a cool idea. All right. Someone should make a film using the Phasma book as its script. Yeah, the Phasma book had a lot of good elements, and so Tyler the Imagineer. The best thing about the Phasma book is there's a version of that can be done for relatively cheap. It's kind of in a deserty world. It's there are the bits in the city where they fight in the arena and stuff like that, but there are parts of that book that can be done for pretty cheap. Yeah, I think it's a cool idea, especially because it's a character that we don't, it was overall people wanted to see more of, because she didn't have much of a story in the films. Let's see here. Luke's remake of Shard of the Past was honestly one of the most adorable things I've seen in my entire life. Please tell him I loved it. I'm Lewis Cotton. Thank you very much. Luke had a lot of fun making that. If you have not seen it, check out my channel of Luke, his shot-for-shot remake of Shards of the Past, where he plays every character. It took Daddy a lot of time to edit and do the visual effects, so go support it. All right. All right. If bringing the Emperor back was part of the plan from the beginning, they would have done it sooner, says Sebastian Eric. I kind of agree. At least they would have been hinting at it sooner. I don't think it was part of the plan, but my name's not J.J. Abrams or Kathleen Kennedy, so I don't know for sure, but I have the sneaky suspicion that that's not true. We want the EU back. Says Let's Talk Star Wars. And there is so much great content in the EU, guys. I don't know how many of you guys have read a lot of the EU material. I'm not super versed in it because I kind of started really reading Star Wars books at the time that the canon was reset, so I've kind of focused more on the canon. But I have read a good deal amount of EU books, but some of the stories are just flat out amazing. Okay. The Gary the Stormtrooper from Robot Chicken should be canon. We can just stop this stream right now. I mean, amen. Okay. I want to learn. So Vandercoop says, I want to learn more, especially with the Old Republic area. Now, that area would explore the Force a ton. Have you seen all the amazing cinematic ads for the game Star Wars The Old Republic? See, that's the thing I'm talking about. I mean, the things that those cinematic captures did for the Old Republic games is not only show incredible action, not only explore aspects of the Force that's the dogmatic narrow view of the Jedi ignored, but they were good stories, really interesting characters. And I think that's what fan films can do. All right. Snackle Taco says a fan film where a man walks into Chipotle and orders a burrito with barbacoa and a lot of hot sauce. That's a fan film. All right. Wondering what you thought of not being able to monetize Vader. Obviously, you'd want to have that option, but I'm wondering if you think it's too far and if you guys should be allowed to also, says Bowen O'Brien. Hey, Bowen, what's up, man? Bowen came and shadowed me the last few days of Vader when we were wrapping it up. Honestly, Star Wars Lucasfilm owns the rights to Lucasfilm, or Lucasfilm owns the right to Star Wars. It's in their prerogative to not allow monetization. So we wanted to follow the rules. Star Wars Theory wants a good relationship with Lucasfilm for obvious reasons. I myself want a good relationship with Lucasfilm for obvious reasons. So we felt no need to go against that rule, even though it would have made Star Wars Theory a ton of money. It would have basically paid for episode 2. So you can say what the right decision was. But I think ethically, they asked us not to do it, so we didn't do it. All right. What's up? Let's Talk Star Wars says your brother knows a lot of the books. Yeah, my brother knows a ton about stuff. He's basically read every EU book there is. So whenever I got an EU question, I just ask my brother. Okay, let's see here. I really want to see Batu in a Star Wars film. So Batu, is Batu Galaxy's Edge? Remember remembering that right, Tyler, Imagineer? All right. So back to our fan films, the future. What are Star Wars fan films? Let me ask this question: what are Star Wars fan films doing that you feel? What are they doing that's really so intriguing to you guys? What are they doing that makes you want to watch them? Because, like I said, Marvel fan films don't have nearly the success that Star Wars fan films have. Yet Marvel is doing immensely better at the box office than Star Wars. The idea, I've said this in my very first video, the idea that Star Wars fatigue contributed to Solo's bomb is, quite frankly, absolutely and utterly ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Marvel releases 2 to 3 movies a year, and each of them just absolutely goes bonkers. But the movies are good. They're entertaining. The stories are good. The characters are good. If Star Wars, we're truly replicating the same success, it would be because of those factors. I know plenty of people, for better or for worse, that didn't see Solo because they were disappointed in The Last Jedi. I saw Solo. I'm just going to say that. I enjoyed Solo. I liked it. I thought it was good. I do wish that there was the Force in the movie, other than the last 13 seconds. But that's my only kind of gripe with it. All right. Let's see here. Batu is probably going to be in episode 9 because of Galaxy's Edge, says that Kotaku. Batu is in the Thrawn books. That's right. Batu is in the Thrawn books. What's up, 2K? It's been a while since I've seen you. It will be in episode 9, so they can leave the Falcon stuck on it for the stupid ride. I am actually going. Cool news, guys. Sweet news. I'm going to be at Galaxy's Edge the 29th and the 30th, editing promos for Disneyland for the opening of Galaxy's Edge. So I'm going to be there in the days before it opens, editing promos for them. One of my buddies at Disney, saw the fan film. He's like, dude, you got to come and edit promos with us. So I'm going to be doing that. It's going to be sweet. I'm just hoping that they let me walk around a little bit, because heaven knows I can't afford to take my family to Disneyland when Star Wars Land opens. So expensive. Okay. Star Wars Forever. Hi, Danny. Just joined. Fan films sometimes have lore and other things. Also, you think George Lucas would like the remake of Kenobi versus Vader? Star Wars Forever. Welcome. Welcome, man. Good to have you. Yeah, I think fan films can introduce things that the normal films don't introduce. Little things in the lore that aren't worthy of $200 million, but are worthy of fan films. And I think that the fans want that. I mean, if you guys recall, I'm going to answer a question about George Lucas, but one of the very first fan-made things was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was essentially a character's guide to all the characters in the Mos Eisley Cantina. That was one of the very first fan-made things, where they went through and explained who all the characters were, what their backstories were, and everything like that. And that, to me, and we have Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, the books that kind of riffed on that and built upon that, and those were Lucasfilm stuff. But the fans started it. And I think the fans have that ability to really take it further. There's so many characters, like Sarko Plank. I mentioned him in one of my videos, my most recent videos. He's in the book, The Weapon of a Jedi. He is seen in The Force Awakens. But he's kind of a cool character. And, more can be done with him. And there's mostly, I have a soft spot for the Jedi and the Sith, the Force users. There's so many Force users that can have films made of. Quinlan Voss, we don't know if he survived Order 66. In the comics, the Jedi Master Barr says that he doesn't know if Quinlan Voss survived Order 66. So he's probably still out there. I think he's still out there. Until they tell me he's dead, he's alive. But even that doesn't make sense because the Emperor, up until a month ago, was dead. So, okay. Let's see. I felt like The Last Jedi just put too much useless story into the film. I think that's what you're saying. Star Wars was bigger than Marvel until Disney took control. I mean, hey, let's talk Star Wars. You know, you're speaking truth there. Did you see? Oh yeah. So Gracer says, did you see the fan film Han Solo: A Smuggler's Trade? So that's another fan film. Jamie, I went to college with the director of that, Keith Allen. I think his name was Keith. Up at BYU, and he was a super cool guy, and they did a good, him and Jamie did a good job on Han Solo: Smuggler Trade. So I mean, it's those type of fan films that I think, things that are just super minor stories that could go a long way in amplifying the canon of Star Wars. All right. I wonder if people will try to make fan films in Galaxy's Edge, like actually film fan films in Galaxy's Edge. Giving me ideas. Let's see here. You can't even take costumes into the park if you're over age 12. That's true. Yeah, Disneyland has a a policy that you cannot wear. Geez, my pancakes, man. Yeah, you can't wear costumes if you're over age 12 because they don't want you to be mistaken for park employees. So maybe not. All right. Any other questions, guys, as we keep going? I'm pretty sure Quinlan Boss is in episode 4 during the pod race. You mean episode 1? Yeah. Well, I don't think he's at the pod race, but he is in Mos Eisley. He's sitting at the tables where Anakin or where Jar Jar encounters Sebulba. He's just chilling there, which leads me to one of the biggest plot holes. Don't even get me started on episode 1, but it's like, don't we think that Quinlan Vos would have recognized Qui-Gon Jinn, and don't we think that Quinlan Vos would have had a ship there, and he could have just said, "Oh, Qui-Gon, my boy, you need a ship? Oh, well, take mine. You clearly need it for the fate of the galaxy." I just don't get it. Somebody saw this cool-looking guy and said, "Oh, that guy's a Jedi. Let's make him a Jedi." I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily buy it. Maybe Quinlan was so deep undercover that he couldn't say anything to Qui-Gon. Or maybe he simply just was busy smoking his pipe and didn't see him. I don't know. But who knows? Let's see here. So if you guys did monetize the fan film, would Lucasfilm sue? Vanacoop, I don't think they would, honestly. But they could. The biggest thing, especially after the whole fiasco with the music being claimed, it wouldn't be wise to try to monetize it at all. I'm still hoping for fan films about, hey, Speedo Kagan. What's up, Magnus? Good to see you. Speedo Kagan did the majority of the lightsabers in Vader. He is the king of Star Wars lightsabers. If I were to make an actual Star Wars movie, I would hire him to do the lightsabers. He does a fantastic job with them. He's developed his own system for it. It's really quite great. So if you want to see the visual effects breakdown for Vader Shards of the Past, check it out. It's on my channel, and you'll see some of his work. If you need visual effects, reach out to him. Okay. Gracer says, I'm still hoping for fan films about Order 66 and the Inquisition of the Jedi. See, now that is a sweet place. And of course, they covered a lot of that in the Rebels TV show. But there's more. I mean, there's more stories about Inquisitors going to hunt down Jedi. What we mostly got in the comics or have been getting like in the Vader comics, Vader is with them. But we know for a fact that the Inquisitors did most of the hunting down of the Jedi. Vader went after the big ones, but the Inquisitors went after the smaller fish. That's evidenced by a variety of things. That's evidenced by Ahsoka saying, you and your Inquisitors took care of that. There are no Jedi left. And I think that could be, at the very least, a comic series, So I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, guys, if some of you guys makes a movie about the Inquisitors hunting down Jedi, let me know. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Upright Media says, question: if you have an idea, write a script for a fan film and share it with others in hope of it getting funded. What can you do to protect your idea from getting stolen and made by somebody else? Um, so Let's Talk Sour says you need a non-disclosure agreement. That's called an NDA, which is essentially saying they can't talk about it when they read it. So there's that. Fan films, though, honestly, are a gray area because I'm not a lawyer, but from what I understand about it, is that even if you write a cool Star Wars idea, you still don't own it. Lucasfilm owns it because it's Star Wars. It's based on their IP. Like, I know when I interned for Disney, people would come in and pitch Disney ideas, based on Disney properties, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, that's cool, but there's nothing you can do with it, because we own it by default. If you want to make a film about a spinoff of Lion King, that's great and everything, but Disney still owns it." So I don't know if there's much you can do, but a standard NDA or a friend's NDA, is sometimes it's called in the industry, where there's just an unwritten NDA. That just basically prevents somebody from stealing your idea or talking about it publicly or sharing it with anybody. So Quinlan Voss was probably on death sticks, and that's why I didn't recognize Qui-Gon. It's possible. All right. Hey, Danny, just curious if you saw the stop motion after I sent you the link. Hey, dude, I haven't seen it yet. I apologize. I actually forgot about it. I'll have to check it out. He sent me a really cool stop motion link. Okay. I really want to see that Vader's Shadow Guards become canon again, because they are eventually shut down by Palpatine for believing he would turn against them. I think the unwritten thing about the Sith is all the subtle infighting among them. That's a story. That's a character-based story with a lot of drama. The tough part about doing it with regards to Vader and Palpatine is we know how it ends. And so I think stories about other Sith and their infighting, especially prior to the Rule of Two, I think those are really great because you don't really necessarily know how it all ends. And that's the tough thing with like George ran with the prequels. Everyone knew how it was going to end. So how do you make it unpredictable when you know the ending? And the answer, quite simply, is it's not the ending that's the unpredictability. It's the journey to get there that becomes the aspect that you need to make unpredictable. It's like in the show 24 or any other television show, when you know your main character is not going to die, so that's never really a danger, but who else is going to die? Is the bomb really going to go off? Because if you've seen 24, it's a possibility. But it's like a crime show. It's not if they're going to solve the crime, it's how they're going to solve the crime. And you got to take that into account when you're making anything. All right. Why does every other Star Wars fan film get to have Star Wars in the title, but not your fan film, Danny? Because Lucasfilm told us we couldn't. We cannot have Star Wars in the title. So we followed the rule. Yeah, the idea, when people say a Star Wars story, it's totally not allowed. Absolutely 100% not allowed, but people do it. Okay. What if humans moved from the Star Wars galaxy to Earth and started the humans race? Possible. It's funny you mentioned that. I was looking up the term dioxis. If you remember in episode 1, it's that poisonous gas that this Trade Federation tries to kill Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon with. It's again used in the episode The Box on Sereno with the bounty hunter competition. Like when I think of dioxis, I think of O2. Now, I don't think technically it's supposed to be O2, which is the oxygen that we breathe here on Earth. But what if it were crazy? What if it were O2 and it were poisonous to all of them? And on all those planets, they're not breathing O2. They're breathing, let's say, nitrogen or something like that. And O2 is actually poisonous to the Star Wars race. That means they're not humans. I don't know. It was my midnight ruminations about the intricacies and worthlessness of my Star Wars obsession. All right. If Lucasfilm hires you as a director for a Star Wars movie, what kind of story would you tell? Talked about that a little bit earlier. There's a million different stories. But honestly, my only really requisite would need to be the Force would have to be heavily involved. I wouldn't want to do a film that doesn't have the Force in it. If I want to do that, I'd do Star Trek. Bowen says, what I enjoy most about these fan films, they're telling stories about characters that we wouldn't have the chance to see again. It's really nice to have more screen time with our childhood figures. And Bowen, I think that's the biggest thing that I really would want to get at, is that this idea that these Star Wars fan films can explore niches and nooks and crannies of the universe that Lucasfilm is never going to explore because it's not monetarily practical to explore. And I think it would be awesome if they created an aspect of their film awards to award one film a year the prestige of being introduced or being admitted into the canon of Star Wars. I think it would be awesome. All right. Uh-oh, guys. Who do we got? Who do we got?
Mr. Jedi.
Mr. Jedi. All right, guys, the live stream can begin. All right. Blue Milk fan film. I don't know. All right. It's going to be hard with my Marvel fan film because I'm going to have to re-kill off Loki because I'm... Okay, so you're making a fan film about Loki. All right. I think Dioxys was used in the Legends Thrawn books, too. I didn't know that. Okay. I honestly didn't know about the ending. I knew nothing about Star Wars before Episode 3. Darth Thanos, you didn't know about Star Wars before Episode 3? Man, you're living the dream. The idea of watching Star Wars cold. It's pretty cool. Okay. People are saying, hi, Luke. Do you think the saga episode should go deep into the wills and the mythology behind the Force? So I want to know more about the history of the Force, and I think fan films can do that. Like, I would love to see a fan film about the invention of the first lightsaber. Now, it's probably out there. I just probably haven't seen it. But don't cover your eye. And I don't know. The Journal of the Wills, that was what Star Wars was originally called. I don't know how. I mean, I think it always, the cool thing about Star Wars, especially the films, is that it always is like mainstream, where pretty much anybody watching it can understand it. It doesn't get too, for lack of a better term, too nerdy. And so I think that's one of the secrets of Star Wars, is that it's easily accessible to the masses. Everyone can understand it because the Force is the Force. It's an energy field that surrounds and penetrates us and binds us and holds the universe together. That's the definition of the Force. Plain and simple. If you really want to get nerdy with it, you talk about the midichlorians. But I think if you're going to explore more aspects of the Force, it's more what are the character aspects of the Force? How do characters interact with the Force rather than intricacies of the Force itself? I wasn't a huge fan of going into the netherworld of the Force in the Clone Wars cartoons. I thought it kind of got a little weird at some points.
Clone Wars cartoons.
I didn't quite love Mortis and the father and the brother and sister. Those kind of got a little weird to me, to be honest. So I wouldn't go that route personally. Let's see here. What about a movie of the first Mandalorian Jedi? Says Arkham Creed. Hey man, it's been a while since you've been here. That would be sweet. Darksaber, awesome. And I think Let's Talk Star Wars is right when he says I thought there was only one Mandalorian Jedi. I know in Legends there was, right? If I recall. And I think in canon there's also only one Mandalorian Jedi as well. That Gold Taco says, "Oh, the Mortis arc is the best arc." Yeah, see, like a lot of people like it. I just didn't love it.
No.
Bathroom break. All right, Luke should play an Ewok in a fan film on Endor. All right. So what are some other the future of fan films, the future of Star Wars with fan films? What are some other things that you want to see in a fan film? Or maybe not even that. What are some other stories that you want to see? What are some plot holes? What are some plot holes maybe from the new trilogy that you want to see filled in by a fan film? And no, I just might be taking notes because I'm always looking for another project. Is there a Force-sensitive Ewok Jedi? I think there is a Ewok Jedi. At least in Legends, I'm pretty sure there was.
Really? Ewok Jedi?
Yeah, there was.
In what episode?
He's not in the movies. I want to see more films after Episode 6. Yoda is messing around here, and there's a thunderstorm. Yeah. Luke teaching in his school. Okay, so that'd be a cool fan film. One of the biggest things I hope Episode 9 does answer is, I think it will, is the idea of the Knights of Ren. I personally do not think the Knights of Ren are former students of Luke, because they're not using lightsabers in those flashbacks in Episode 7. If they were students of Luke, they would have lightsabers. I think the Knights of Ren are somebody that Snoke commands, and the name Kylo Ren was given to him. That Ren is a title, and the Knights of Ren existed before Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren is simply their leader. I did a whole video on that. So check it out if you want to hear more about my ramblings about it. A film about how the First Order secretly took over planets. So, that's an idea, and that's one of the things that I feel like the new canon books have really fell short with. Is it's pretty clear that the new canon books are striving to give stories, but not really stories that really matter, that not really fill in the gaps too much. They're stories that, you can just see Lucasfilm, and I don't blame them for this. You can see Lucasfilm saying, that story's great, but we got to save that one for a movie. We can't write a book about that. I just wish they would put a little bit more substance into their books. I would like a fan film about Qui-Gon Jinn, Dexter Jetster cooking show fan film. That would be hilarious. If anyone can pull that off, I would watch that a million times. Talking, and he'll just talk about wisdom in people's pocketbooks. Let's see here. I would like to see how Snoke got to Ben and who Snoke was before he was known as the Sith, or what he was to Ben before he turned. So Titanium Ranger, I've got a big idea about that. I would like, if I were to make a Boba Fett movie, if I had no choice but to make a Boba Fett movie, it would be about how Boba Fett was actually the intermediary between Snoke and Ben. And Boba Fett's motivation behind it all was to get revenge on Han by turning his son to the dark side. And that Snoke would be using Boba Fett also to try to create another clone army. Because we have that line in Episode 7 where Kylo Ren says, maybe Supreme Leader Snoke should have used a clone army. So that it was at least a conversation at one point to use a clone army. And Boba Fett gets killed in the movie by Han, most likely, or even gets turned against by Ben or even Snoke. Probably not Snoke, but then that kills the hopes of doing a clone army. I think it'd be a cool story. I think it would really be character driven. You can have Ben learning about the Force and Snoke in it to learn more about Snoke. You finally get a satisfying death of Boba Fett. But yeah, if I had to make a Boba Fett movie, I'd do it in that time period. Speaking of fan films, why do some of them show force push effects like the visual of the force push, while the movies don't show what the force push looks like? Star Wars Forever, you're hitting on a pet peeve of mine. I hate it. You cannot see the force, guys. You can't see it. Even in our fan film, in Shards of the Past, you see like a force bubble around Vader when Sidious is doing the lightning at him. And I said this in one of the videos, but you're not seeing the force. You're seeing the lightning interacting with the invisible force bubble. And I was very clear about that to the visual effects artists, because I hate it when you can see the force in the movies, because you can't see it. Okay. A film where Boba Fett gets a Big Mac that's brown into the Sarlacc pit. I don't know what you're saying, but Sarlacc pit and Big Mac, Boba Fett. Okay. Bowen O'Brien says, I think it'd be cool to see a film that follows the bad guys. We get to see them as the hero and think that would be an interesting take. Yeah, totally. And I think there's a lot of, if you're going to make like a Revan or a Malik film, maybe you tell it from their point of view rather than the Jedi's point of view. I guess if you're doing a Revan film and staying true to the game, you tell it from the Jedi's point of view. But it'd be a good, I think there's a lot of potential here to do what Marvel does, to retell a big Star Wars story as the Marvel web. So each film ties into each other and only eventually kind of so it diverges and then converges onto a singular ending. I think you can do it. If you're going to make an Old Republic trilogy or series, go for it. I think you can do it. I think it's 100% possible, and I think it would be pretty awesome. What's your opinion on the Star Wars Holiday Special? I've never seen it. I have not wanted to subject myself to such torture. A Revan film from the Sith side. I might know someone who's already doing that. Yeah, Mike, you might. Forgot about that. All right. Did Boba Fett survive the pit in the new canon, or did he in Legends? But can't remember if he did in canon. I know. Okay. I don't think it's canon yet that he survived. I know in one of the books, somebody finds Mandalorian armor in the Tatooine desert. But that's, I think, about as close as it gets. If anybody knows otherwise, let me know. All right, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick. But the big question has been today, are Star Wars fan films the future of Star Wars? Are they, they are blowing up. They're huge right now. People just can't get enough of them. The quality of Star Wars fan films is arguably the best it's ever been because of the democratization of filmmaking. I mean, we did visual effects shots in Vader that are on par with Episode 1 visual effects. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them they are. And it's but that's not just us. I mean, a lot of fan films can do that now because it's so much. A high school student in, South America or Europe or, wherever can do these effects on their home computer. So it's a great time to be alive as a filmmaker when you can shoot something on an iPhone and have it look great. You don't need a big, expensive camera. See? Oh, this is the other future Jedi. So I think fan films have a fantastic future. I think, the latest one edition is Scene 38, but there's going to be more. There's going to be more amazing fan films that are going to get released. Some of them are going to have the hype, the year and a half hype that Scene 38 has had. Others are going to just drop and we're going to be blown away because we're not going to be having expected it. Of course, we've got Vader Episode 2 that will be coming out that, quite frankly, guys, is going to show you things that you've never seen before. That's been our big thing. If we're going to have a fight, we're going to do things that we've never seen before. And I hope you guys really like it. I'm really excited about it when we do end up making it. Let's doesn't sound like Luke is happy. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm excited for the future of fan films. I know you guys are too, judging by how many views they're all getting. And all those comments. Remember that the best comment almost people can give is, this should be canon, or this is now canon to me. And I think it would be awesome if Lucasfilm developed a program that could introduce fan films into the Star Wars canon, to fill in the gaps that they're never going to fill in. And I think it would be incredible. I think it'd be a great way to get the fans involved, and to really feel like they're a part of the universe now, rather than being told what the universe is. And I think that's one of the biggest things that some fans that I've seen don't necessarily enjoy, is that, yeah, I won't get into more of that. So thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. Let's see here if there's any other comments I missed, but have a great day. And remember to stay spiffy and don't do anything I wouldn't do twice.